You're listening to A Radio.
Well, it's a mark of the desperation of the Prime Minister and his party that what they're going to do is they're going to sort of try and divert attention, change the channel from one disaster, which is the testimony of the former Attorney General that she was improperly pressured to drop criminal charges against a major Quebec company for political reasons, for the advantages of the Liberal Party. So here he's going to say, let's talk about the climate tax I want to impose on Ontarians as of April 1st. That shows you how bad things are. That's his big play. I'm going to raise your taxes on April 1st over the objections of the Ontario provincial government, by the way. Now, he is saying that because of the tax credits people are going to get back on the carbon tax, they're actually going to end up ahead. This is a miraculous tax. They tax us and we all make more money. Astounding. One reason to be skeptical is that in the 2015 federal election, he said we would have 3 years of modest deficits, and next year, the election year, we would have not only a balanced budget, but a $1 billion surplus. Well, he's blowing those predictions every year by like 100%, just under 100%. Everything he said about the financial state of the country that it would be in 4 years from when he took office in 2015, and we're in 2019, has been proven to be, some might call it a lie. I would use the more judicious term, incredibly inaccurate.
We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing ground.
Thank you for joining us. You are listening to A Radio, and this is The Morning Moment. We're on weekdays, 11:45 Eastern. Follow us on Spreaker.com and click on the like button. Now, you just heard there in the intro from Laurie Goldstein of the Sun newspaper in Toronto. This is a piece continuing on from that. This piece is from Laurie Goldstein. All the links will be on my site, as usual, when I can get to them. This piece concerns Trudeau, as usual, and his taxes. Canadians already suspicious of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's carbon tax are likely to be even more suspicious given a report by Ottawa-based Blacklock's reporter that Environment Canada, a century's worth of observed weather data in developing its computer models on the impacts of, quote, climate change, the scrapping of all observed weather data from 1850 to 1949. This was necessary, a spokesman for, this is what the French call it, Environment Canada, it's the Department of Environment to you and me, told Blacklock's reporter after researchers concluded that historically there aren't enough weather stations to create a reliable data set for that 100-year period. Quote, the historical data is not observed historical data, unquote. The spokesman said it's modelled historical data. 24 models from historical simulations spanning 1950 to 2005 were used. These computer simulations are part of the federal government's climatedata.ca website, launched by Climate Barbie Environmental Minister Catherine McKenna, August 15. She described it as an important next step in giving our decision makers even greater access to important climate data for long-term planning. The more each of us uses this type of information, the more it will help, unquote. Blacklock's reporter, which describes itself as the only reporter owned and operated newsroom in Ottawa, focusing on intensive reporting of government documents, note that in many cases the observed temperatures scrapped by the Department of Environment in Canada in creating its computer models were higher in the past than today. And here's the data that's been scrapped. For example, Vancouver, Canada, had a higher record temperature in 1910. I apologise for what I'm about to say next because it's French. 30.6 degrees Celsius in 1910, and in 2017, 29.5 Celsius. If you're like me, you haven't got a clue what that means, but you know that 30 is higher than 29. Toronto had a warmer summer in 1852, 32.2, than in 2017, 31.7. The highest temperature in Moncton, that's in eastern Canada, I don't know exactly where it is, but it's in eastern Canada someplace, was 4 degrees cooler than in 1906. Brandon, Manitoba had 49 days where the average daily temperature was above 20 degrees Celsius. Now I know that one, that's 68. So it had 49 degrees where the average daily temperature was above 20 degrees, 68, in 1936, compared to only 16 days in 2017, with a higher temperature of 43.3 degrees centigrade. Now I don't know what that is, but I know it's hot. That year, that's 1936, compared with 34.3 degrees centigrade. Now anybody knows that 43 is higher than 34 in 2017. Blacklock's reporter also said that in an earlier report on forest fires, the Department of Environment in Canada blamed climate change for record-shattering forest fires in British Columbia that destroyed 3.3 million acres in 2018, emitting the Chinchaga firestorm that destroyed 5 million acres in British Columbia and Alberta in 1950. To be fair, the fact that it emitted observed weather data in 1850 to 1949 in developing its computer models is not evidence in itself of any attempt by the Department of Environment in Canada to mislead the public. Oh, certainly not. Heaven forbid. Omitting observed historical weather data from computer models is common in climate science because of the differences in the quality of reporting of weather data today compared with to 1850, when historical records started to be being kept. Also, weather is not climate. Computer climate models don't claim to predict what the weather will be on any given day, month or year. They predict long-term weather and climate patterns. Climate scientists test their validity by assessing whether, pardon the pun, their models predicting future climate patterns can explain climate change patterns in the past, which is based on more data than that provided solely by historical records. Finally, the fact that in some cases regional temperatures were warmer in the past than today does not disprove the theory of human-induced climate change. Really? Are you serious? Having said that, McKenna and other politicians give the public inaccurate information about climate change all the time. McKenna, during a recent visit to Toronto, blamed the flooding at the south end of the Don Valley Parkway on man-made climate change, except that that area has been flooding since glaciers retreated 12,000 years ago, long before industrial greenhouse gas emissions existed. Well, maybe. I think they had carbon dioxide 12,000 years ago, but there you go. So what we have here is a situation that now we face absolute catastrophic economic disaster in our future in Canada. 57 Genders Trudeau is going to force upon the economic engine of Canada another tax. So if you think you're paying enough in Ontario now, and that's why you voted in Doug Ford, remember Ontarians didn't vote for a Liberal win, they voted for Doug Ford, they're going to be punished for voting for Doug Ford, for wanting more affordable electricity. They're going to be punished for voting for Doug Ford, for voting to keep warm in the wintertime. They're going to be punished for voting for Doug Ford so that they could afford to buy food and put gas in their cars. And who do you have to thank for that? Those mindless morons in the 905 and 416 areas, the automatons that vote for Trudeau because they like his hair, those automatons who do nothing but play virtual games and live in a virtual world and live in their little condos and use public transport and wonder where food comes from. It doesn't all come from Tim Hortons and places like that. It comes from farms, it comes from small towns, it comes from trucking companies, all of which you in the 905 area will pay more and more and more. And so will the rest of Canada, thanks to 905 and 416. Remember that next time you vote. Remember that next time you buy something on your supermarket shelf. Remember that next time you're pumping gas. Please thank the people in Toronto in 905 and 416. And if it means that people who didn't vote there get upset, too darn bad. Too darn bad. Shame on you for living in 905 and 416. Get out. Get out. Get out. If you get out of 905 and you get out of 416, they can't have all those seats and they won't win anymore. But if you keep moving into 905 and you keep moving into 416, they'll keep winning because our electoral system is biased in favour of Ontario and Quebec. To hell with the rest of Canada. To hell with the rest of Ontario. As long as 905 and 416 are Liberal, so goes the country. How can that be democratic? And we will all pay the price, having those stupid windmills everywhere that don't work in the wintertime, having those stupid solar farms that don't work in the wintertime, and running out of food, gas and electricity, thanks to 57 genders Trudeau and his Liberal Communist government. Remember, please thank the 905 and 416 every day you get up in the morning and every day you switch that light on. That's as long as you can afford to switch the light on. Because at the end of the day, the only ones who'll be able to afford to switch the lights on will be the people working in the big high-rises in the 416 and 905 areas, because the rest of Canada will be broke. You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com, where you can find links to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Gab, Spotify and email. We're on Spotify under the podcast section. Type in Canadian Politics with a twist and you'll find us. We are continuing to reach out to you, so please pass these links on to your friends. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. You can listen to all our morning moments at Spreaker.com/A-Radio. EHRADIO, A-Radio. And please click on the like button. Join us Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 11:45 Eastern and tell your friends and pass the word. We only tell the truth, not what the mainstream media want you to know.